So, as I said, today we're looking at content strategy. Before we get going and talk about that, I want to mention a little bit about myself because you want to know who I am. I've been working in digital marketing for over 20 years. I don't know quite how that's happened, but I lead digital marketing projects and strategies for a range of clients, including Helly Hansen, Cambridge Satchel Company. I've also led projects for Vodafone and also lead projects for smaller organisations as well, and also startups. I've been working with the Oxford College of Marketing actually now apparently for 16 years and delivering some of our courses, mainly specialising in digital marketing to align with my own work life. And supporting students with their assessments, but also building qualifications and training courses for the college too. And I also, as I said, deliver courses and training programs. As you're here today with Oxford College of Marketing, I just wanted to highlight a few things around the college too that we've got. Actually, today is our birthday, so happy birthday, Oxford College of Marketing. We are 26 years old today, and we've been providing professional marketing courses. We also now deliver digital marketing courses, project management courses, sales courses, PR courses, quite a few courses, not just under the Oxford College of Marketing brand, but also under the Oxford Professional Education Group brand too. Around 2,000 students a year study with us. We gain actually up to 99% pass rates with our CIM qualifications, 100% pass rates with some of our other professional qualifications as well. We don't just do professional qualifications, we do short courses, bootcamp courses. We're kind of there to not just provide you with longer term strategic qualifications that help you understand strategy, but also those to fill in gaps in other areas that you have in your professional lives. We've got global study centres, we offer virtual courses, and we also have an extensive online programme. That's a bit about us. Let's though start talking about content marketing and also how we can put together a successful and effective content strategy. So let's first of all start with our definition of what content marketing is. And this is from the Content Marketing Institute. And you can see here that they've described content marketing as the strategic marketing approach of creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and acquire a clearly defined audience with the objective of driving profitable customer action. Now, just to be aware, when we talk about profit, we don't just mean profit in terms of the true sense. So from a revenue perspective, this can actually be whatever the organisation values. So in essence, and really in short, instead of pitching products and services to customers, the aim of content marketing is delivering information that makes your buyer really more intelligent. And as businesses, we are trying to offer more and deliver constant and consistent, ongoing, valuable information that ultimately our buyers will reward us therefore with their loyalty and ultimately their money. But if we go back and look at this particular definition again, you can see two really important words there, and that is valuable and relevant. And that's the difference between content marketing and kind of what I'd call informational rubbish that kind of gets spammed to you over the course of your day, your week, or your month. You know, companies try and sell to us all the time. They send us a lot of information, but not all of it is relevant, and certainly not all of it is valuable. So for content marketing to be successful, it really does need to be relevant and it needs to be valuable. And that needs to be at the absolute heart of your content strategy. I think it's also important for us to highlight the three key benefits of content marketing. Now, there are lots of very specific benefits of content marketing, but here I've kind of summarized three overarching benefits of content marketing for an organization. And firstly, we've got increased sales. So we can use content marketing to help us drive demand for products and services by creating basically interested audiences through creating subscribers who like and trust a brand. And when I talk about subscribers, I'm not just talking about people that opt in to get your email newsletters. Subscribers can also include those people who may have signed up for a specific piece of content. They could be subscribers to your podcast. They could be subscribers to your social media channels, so effectively your followers. And the idea, therefore, the benefit of increasing sales through that subscribed audience is we've got that engaged audience to help convert them then into customers or convert them into more loyal customers. Another key benefit you can see there is cost savings. Now, It kind of falls into two separate areas, really. We've got the power of that kind of opt-in audience I've already mentioned, so we can be more effective in our marketing because we have that engaged audience. But the second point is actually something that people overlook more often. We often think of content marketing as that top of funnel activity, but actually it's not just useful for that purpose. Content is really valuable. Content marketing is really valuable for customer support. So how can we maybe use content marketing to save money for the organization in terms of having calls into the call center potentially, or taking up lots more customer service time? And finally, a benefit of content marketing is supporting loyalty creation. So it can assist us with creating loyalty and retention with our audiences. It can also support us in upselling and cross-selling. But really, content marketing is fundamental and crucial to all forms of marketing now. Let's look at, like, for example, social media. It's such a crucial element of our social media strategy. That we are creating content that we can share. We are also sharing links maybe to our wider organizational content. SEO content is the fundamental element of SEO, publishing regular quality content. PR is, again, creating content that as an organization we share or third parties share. Paid search, the whole basis of getting paid search to work and to convert is having some content that is useful to that user or to that audience. And inbound marketing from a B2B perspective, content again is key for driving inbound traffic and driving leads. Before we get started thinking about our content strategy, I just want you to pop into the chat area thinking about your current approach to content marketing. So do you have a plan? Do you have an agreed approach? Do you just kind of make content up on the fly? Just pop them into the chat area.
Red, I'm really sorry. I think there's a slight issue with the chat in that people can't use it at the moment. So this might be slightly less interactive. Oh, we've got it working.
No, I don't think so. Can you see the chat?
I absolutely can.
Oh, hang on. I've got a...
They are working in the...
Oh, I can. Oh, there we go. I can read you, Alina here. Hi, Alina.
There we go. The guys are working in the background.
Q&A, that might work. Oh, good old technology. I have to love it. Yeah. Hi, I've got one from Alina here. I've got some Q&A functionality. You can type it in there if you like. Your current approach to content marketing, you should be able to type it into the Q&A box. Don't know if that works. Oh dear. No, that's frustrating. Why can't we see the chat? No. Oh, there we go. Well, Alina's telling me she works for a company in Romania. I've got some coming in now, actually. Lovely, brilliant. You work for a Romanian small SME, and the funny thing is we don't actually have an audience survey and a persona. Oof. Okay. Someone else is saying I'll be running an insight piece to understand what our customers want and talk to them about to get maximum engagement. Lena's saying she works in a really niche segment, so that doesn't help. That obviously makes your content marketing quite tricky. Lots of learning to do. Any others want to add a little comment into the Q&A box about their current approach to content marketing? I don't mind if you don't want to. Oh, I've got one here. Oh, I love that. Amanda Farron is literally winging it. Love that. And pretty much that's kind of what I expected many to say. Repurposing content from our research team, from webinars, reports, and so on. That's interesting. Again, just Alice is saying that. Making it up on the fly. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of my clients do that as well. Right, I'm going to sort of pause. A couple more coming in here, very much on the fly. We have a new marketing team, so it's all very new. I work in a large organization. We have an issue of too much content and not a specific enough for segments or personas. Gosh, super interesting comments here, guys. Thank you very much. Someone has raised their hand. Just pop your question into the Q&A box and we will do our best to help if you pop them into that Q&A box. Apologies. We plan ahead, but sometimes end up ad hoc, moving targets always. Yeah, I think that's it. We do have to be flexible, but I'm going to move on and we are going to look a bit more now at your content strategy. So why do we need a content strategy? So content marketing is about creating, publishing, distributing content, but content strategy is the foundation on which our content marketing is built. So if we think about it like a map, content marketing is the journey towards brand success, but content strategy is the blueprint that actually directs it. And so strategy answers why you are publishing your content. It determines who you're trying to reach with your content marketing efforts. It details what content you will develop and how it will be created, as well as how success will be measured. So just like those of you here who have done marketing and marketing planning and strategy, you know, just like with marketing plan and strategy, without your content strategy, your content marketing efforts are directionless, they're meaningless, and they're really not going to help you achieve your goals. So let's now look at this framework. Today, I'm really not going to be telling you, you know, what content types are great. Actually, what I'm trying to get through to you today is really how to set up a content strategy for success. And this is kind of my favorite and the one that I found works best for me, the strategy framework. This is actually from the Content Marketing Institute. 5 key steps: purpose and goals, audience, story, process, measurement, keeping it really, really simple. And I'm going to go through each of these stages with you through the rest of this particular workshop, give you some examples, give you some best practice in the hope that you can go away and maybe stop winging it and maybe start putting together some kind of strategy and foundation. I'm going to start firstly with the purpose element. So, you know, you already mentioned to me in your comments there, making content on the fly. And there's so many of the clients that I work with do exactly that. Go away and simply say, oh, we need a blog post on this because this seemingly is popular right now. Or, oh, actually, let's just go and make a TikTok about this particular element because that kind of seems like it could be cool. We need to make sure that the content we are producing has value to it, and it therefore needs to support our wider business goals. Because if it doesn't, then the business case for making that piece of content doesn't exist. So your content strategy needs to begin with basically an eye towards your business goals. What do you actually want to achieve as an organization? And therefore, somehow, whatever content you're creating needs to come back to those business goals in some form or another. I'm not saying every single piece of content needs to drive sales or leads, or if you're a not-for-profit organization, it could be whatever you want to achieve there. So that could be donations, for example. It could be creating awareness around a particular piece. It may not always be specifically that, but it should always certainly support that. As part of that purpose, we need to also think about what we want our audiences to do once they've consumed that content as well, because that will really tie in to our content goals, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And also, by detailing and defining our goals, we need to think about the value that we want to create. We want our content, to create for our business as well. So that might be, that value could be around awareness. It could be leads. It could be traffic. It could be retention. So we need to think about why does our content exist? What do we actually want it to do? That is our first question. We then need to set our content marketing goals. And I actually really I just came across this from Polizzi, thinking about the 3 things that businesses care about. And I think this encapsulates kind of business and marketing objectives really well: sales, savings, and sunshine, which I'm hoping you're having some of today. Sunshine in terms of customer loyalty, retention, maybe word of mouth, could be cross sales, for example. Those are the things that kind of businesses tend to care about. So we need to then think about how we can translate these into our content marketing goals. First, sort of what I've listed here on the right-hand side of the screen are some of the areas that we could look at. So in terms of broader areas, which we can then refine into more specific goals. Remember, you're all hopefully marketers here or learning to be marketers here. What we're interested, what we need to make sure, with our goals, they are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. We need to make sure we have some specific measures in place. We don't have KPIs, we don't have targets in place. How will we ever know whether we've achieved them or not? So some of these goals we could have. Subscribers, I've already sort of started talking about this as our content marketing efforts. We can create that subscribed audience. So this isn't just our email subscribers, that could be anything else. It could be, as I said, podcast subscribers, YouTube channel subscribers, whatever that might be. So in some instances, we'll have their contact information. In most instances, they've agreed to have some kind of communication with us. So therefore, we are able to subtly market to them. So we can think about metrics here, such as engagement, some real world actions, maybe buying, lead generation. We try not to lean into those vanity metrics too much, which is those volume of subscribers, not without overlaying them with something like engagement. Other goals we might have are leads. So unlike subscribers, leads generally will provide a little bit more information. So, when you sign up to a webinar, when you sign up to a white paper, you tend to get asked a few more bits of information. Obviously, we are interested in whether we've made sales, but a couple of other interesting content marketing goals that often get forgotten about. The first of all is sales support and development. So this is creating pieces of content that provide almost the help for customers to choose between suppliers, so choose us, for example. Also that sales development will also help us maybe justify why we chose that organization in the first place. So these are like testimonials, case studies, how similar customers have solved those particular problems. So we could measure this kind of sales and support development, maybe with metrics potentially such as lead to customer conversion rates, maybe the time or the effect it's having on time to close new customers, ultimately revenue as well. Someone's just mentioned, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat here. Someone's talking about the most important metrics to measure. I'm actually going to talk about those towards the end of today's session. And the slides can be shared after the event, I believe, as well. There's an interesting question, Anna, there about stakeholders. Someone remind me about that towards the end, because I really like to answer that question as well. The final content marketing goal here is around customer support and loyalty. Remember, I spoke about earlier that an overlooked area of content marketing is, it's not just top of funnel. It can work to reinforce customers' decisions, but also take them on that, provide support for them. So in terms of measuring our content goals for that, it could be the reduction numbers to a support call center. It could be revenue from upselling. It could be retention rate. It could be changes in churn rate, those sorts of things, which can help us there as well. Now, before we start moving on away from this kind of purpose and goals section, some of you, well, all of you have told me that you have some form of existing content. So it'd be remiss of me not to mention this at this stage about auditing what we already have, because we've already got some content. So let's see what we've got before we then start moving on with our strategy and creating some form of plan. And content audits are super helpful because it helps us get some data-driven insight, essentially, into the performance of our content and helping us make more informed decisions on factual information rather than kind of our gut feel or some assumptions, or as I like to call them, hippos, the highest paid person's opinion. Content audits are also really helpful because obviously we can see what's performing well, what's not performing well, what our audience are engaging in, but also maybe highlighting some specific content that we could update or repurpose. It can be quite a lengthy process. It depends on how you go about it, but essentially you're gathering your content and creating an inventory first of all. So generally I would start this by gathering all the URLs of where my content is. Now, you could do this by particular kind of channel where you have content. So it could be like a blog. One of my clients has a very, very large blog, so that would take us a long time. You could also do an audit, maybe it could be of your webinar recordings, your videos on YouTube, put them into a spreadsheet with the URLs, and then we can start looking at how we categorize that content. So categorizing it, we're looking at content type, the content format, what stage in the customer journey it helps potentially, any other relevant information as well that's useful to you as an organization. So date of publication could be the number of words, when it was last updated. Then we're going to collect any and analyze any data around that particular specific piece of content as well, and then assess those particular assets and analyze that performance. So based upon what the goals we have just set, which of these are achieving those goals, which are not. So where are the gaps, where are the issues, where are the key areas of strength? We can then build this into our strategy. So an important part of our content strategy is not forgetting what we already have available to us. So those of you, again, that know a lot about marketing planning and marketing strategy, you know that in order to create a successful content strategy, we need to know and understand our audience to make sure that all of our content is designed to meet their needs and that they can benefit from that content as well. And creating personas is a really important part of doing that. Think of a persona as your stereotype, your stereotypical ideal customer, your stereotypical target audience, stereotypical depiction of your target customer, essentially. Your persona needs to identify their demographics, so information, so things like age, gender, could be their location, their goals, their motivations. So one of those that could be, I don't know, getting fit and healthy. Also their challenges and pain points could be, I can't afford to buy a house, their information needs, but also their channel and platform usage. So, what websites do they frequent? What social media channels do they also frequent? Because again, that will all shape the kind of content that you will be creating and then how you will distribute that content in the future. So by creating these personas, we can then create specific content that's relevant to our customer needs in terms of information, but also entertainment as well. We also need to be aware, though, our needs of our customers change over time. Things don't stand still. So we need to make sure that not just we define our personas now, but also we look to refine those in the future as well. Just wanted to bring in a few areas you might want to think about when you're creating your personas, some of the key questions that you might want to ask. Who are they? So in terms of who is our ideal customer, who is our target audience? So their demographics, their psychographics, behavior. Depending if you're looking at B2B, you might need to look at their job function, the industry, the department they work in. We want to look at also their objectives, their responsibilities, and their obstacles. So what goals are they trying to accomplish? Obviously relevant probably to your product or service category, or what your organization does. The challenges that frustrate them, what gaps maybe are they looking to fill? What problems are they trying to solve, and how are they trying to alleviate their frustrations? So that could be essentially within their life, or it could be obviously in B2B around their job role as well. What is their role in the buying process? So thinking about how they influence that particular buying process, who else influences that buying decision? How long are they in that buying journey? So obviously when you're thinking about B2B, you're thinking about the other people in that decision-making unit. Even in B2C, they could be part of a couple, they could be part of a family, and therefore who influences the decision? What is their role in that decision-making process? Again, that's really important for content perspective, because we want to know where they are in their journey, but also how they influence to develop content that then suits that. And finally, thinking about their communications preferences, so how they access and consume content, so the type of formats that they like, the channels and the platforms that they utilize to find that and locate that content. Thinking about how much information they want, how they like to receive that information. We're definitely moving from long form into kind of that snackable short form content. We talk about many users and our target audience generally, how their needs are changing in terms of the content. Content needs to be very short, snappy, because we don't have the attention span we used to. Other interesting developments, and certainly in B2B, where in B2B buying, that contact with the organization happens later. So content marketing has a much more important role to play now in B2B, because organizations, or those that are looking for particular services or whatever from B2B organizations, they're looking to gather information much earlier in that process before they speak to someone. So they're much more content hungry in the earlier stages of their buyer journey. So just some interesting things to think about. In terms of how you then find this information around personas and create personas, obviously you will have internal data that you can lean on. You've got Google Analytics that gives you idea around some demographic information, location-based information, can give you some idea around some of the affinity audiences. That can be quite useful. Platforms, you'll know kind of some of the sites that are coming from, where your audiences are coming from, because you can see referrals. You can look at social media analytics, which is super helpful in revealing some of the demographics and interest in your audiences. don't be afraid to look at third-party research. You've got an age range of your audience. You've got a rough idea of what they look like. Can you overlay that with third-party research, especially around channels and platforms and things that people like to access? You could look at your CRM systems maybe, and also more importantly, don't forget to speak to your customer service team or people that deal with your customers face to face, or your sales team. Get the feedback from them. They're really useful at giving you information around the key questions that get asked. What are the things that they ask over and over again? And that can really help define and refine your content and the approach you take to content, or what content you actually produce. And that leads us nicely onto this part. And when we're thinking about our customer, we also have to think about the customer journey. So we need to make sure we're understanding not just who our audience is, but their actual journey that they go through, because they will draw upon different content throughout that journey. And what content they need will depend on what stage they are in their journey. So this is a really simplistic customer journey diagram, just from moving from awareness to consideration to decision. So first, I put the consumer, but obviously we can talk here about from a B2B perspective and it being a user. So someone is experiencing a problem and is undertaking research to better frame it. So the problem I could have here actually is that I am looking for, so I have a problem that I can't really schedule my social media very well. So I'm trying to frame that problem. So the kind of content that I might be looking for is some guides, maybe a white paper around the issues of scheduling social media. The consideration stage, we have defined that problem. We're committed to understanding the methods of solving it. So now I know what my problem is. I just need to find the solutions to solve that particular problem. So this might be comparison guides. It could be expert guides, podcast, video. There's a whole host of different content that can support that stage. And then we've got the decision stage where we've decided on the solution and the approach we're going to take to solve our problem. We've got a short list of vendors. We now just need to make a decision of which we're going to go with. So this is the kind of content more at the bottom end of our funnel. So case studies, demonstrations, trials. I've also added in there user-generated content, which is a really important, very important element now, especially in B2C markets, incidentally. Actually, I've got a little bit of an example here, proper example I put together. And this is just getting us to think a bit about how content can be used across the customer journey. Obviously, I work with Helly Hansen, so I often have to think about hiking shoes. I do not like hiking. But so my issue and my awareness stage, I'm going on a hike, I'm going hiking and I need some proper hiking shoes. So I went to Google, I typed in how to select the best hiking shoes, and Gear Lab came up with this very interesting article. So this is an example of some content that might be suitable and helpful in helping me kind of refine the problem that I've got and help me get to the consideration stage, which is what brands make the best hiking shoes. So here I've got best hiking shoes UK, I've Googled, and expert reviews have looked at the best walking shoes for men and women in 2023. So I start reading that particular article. So now I've kind of in that stage where I've got probably 1 or 2 pairs of hiking shoes that I quite like. And I'm now making my decision. And I'm kind of here, I'm thinking, well, am I making the right choice? Maybe I might have selected one, or maybe thinking about what hiking shoes others recommend, and does that help me make the decision? And you can see here, Zoe and Kelby on TikTok have a whole thing about, these are the 3 hiking boots we can't recommend enough. So this is me utilizing user-generated content on TikTok to help me solve that problem. Those of you, unless you've been, I don't know, underground somewhere for a while, will know the importance now of TikTok as a search engine, not just obviously something as Google, especially when you're purchasing something. The recording is being made today. It will be, I believe, emailed out to everybody. Someone's just asking that. There's a couple of really good questions. I'm going to have to come back to some of them, I'm afraid, because it takes a little bit of explanation, and I think it might be better in some other context. So actually, we have really kind of followed a very similar approach to now what we would take with a marketing strategy potentially. So we've looked at, what we actually want to achieve. We've looked at who our audiences are, but now we're starting getting some of the nitty gritty around our content strategy. And one of the first areas we need to now look at and build on, and in the stages of our content strategy, is stories. Now, these are the specific, distinctive and valuable ideas that you will build your content assets around. We're trying to identify the specific and valuable and unique value that the business is going to deliver in exchange for your audience's support, their trust, and ultimately their engagement. So this value that we're trying to build, this is our story. So our stories really do focus on our business, the brand itself, its passions, its belief, it's what it stands for, your products and services, but also sharing your knowledge and your expertise as well. So this is the next slide here is a super helpful way of breaking down our stories. You can see I've done this into 3 kind of areas. We can create stories around the organization, products and services, or our knowledge and expertise. So you can see examples of how that might be. So the stories and that what we stand for as an organization, our values, our heritage. I've got corporate responsibility, but actually I'd add in there now sustainability. That's a very important element of an organization's story. It could be the team itself, employee achievements. Obviously, products and services are what they are themselves, ideas and designs. We've got here behind the scenes, customer stories, educational stories. Knowledge and expertise is all about positioning your organization as experts in that specific field. Even if you're an e-commerce organization, you will have knowledge and expertise. So that could be whether that's in beauty and understanding the skin, or with my example around hiking boots, whether understanding what walkers need when they're going for a hike. So again, thinking here around the stories that could be helping to look at templates, resources, research and opinion, etc. So these are just some ideas, but the stories are really, stories are kind of like your broader view of what you're trying to include in your content, the kind of things that you need to talk about, the things you could talk about in your content that could be valuable, therefore, for your audience, based upon your audience needs and based upon your goals. I now want to introduce to you something that I think is so important and super powerful in a content marketing strategy, and that is content pillars. I love a content pillar. And I always recommend to my clients that they create content pillars. So these are the themes of your content. So these are the themes that are relevant for your audience, and they form the foundation of your strategy. So they're a way to essentially organize your stories. As I said, the stories are the broader view, and your content pillars give you very specific themes. So the reason why content pillars are so valuable, and this is for all of you out there that are creating content on the fly, they're a so valuable part of your content strategy, because instead of creating that content on the fly, you have got distinct themes or distinct buckets that will help you then create relevant content, and also help you create your content calendar, help you create the actual content, the right format. It also, though, supports consistency of messaging and also the specific content that then's created as well. It also ensures that you're not ignoring a particular part of your audience. It also ensures that you're creating content across that customer journey. So not just at a particular stage in that journey, you're thinking about the entire customer journey. They help you then to target customers at the right time, at the right part of their journey. But ultimately, it helps you come up with ideas. If you have these content pillars already there, it can really help you come up with ideas because you've got some defined topics already there. You're probably now thinking, Red, what are you going on about? Here's a nice example for you. I think Shopify on TikTok is just brilliant. The reason is they're an e-commerce platform, and they really do rock it on TikTok. They do exceptionally well for an e-commerce platform that's generally not a very exciting product. They produce some really good content. And what I have done is looked at their kind of TikTok channel, and you can definitely see their content pillars that are in place. And I've identified 4 key content pillars that they have. So these are 4 specific themes across their content. And again, by having these 4 specific themes, it means that will guide their content creation and ultimately help them achieve their content marketing goals. Firstly, you'll notice that if you do have a look at Shopify on TikTok, they know their audience profile, and they work this platform to fit with a platform profile as well. So you'll tend to find that the content on there is designed for someone who's probably, 35 or under. But you can definitely, as I say, see these 4 key content pillars in place. The first we have is Now you've got like the Shopify brand itself and kind of some of the trends around that. I don't know if you hopefully you can see that picture, but we have the Shopify bag. Yeah, basically the person dressed in a suit comes up quite a lot. And this is always, to me, really focusing around brand awareness itself, and kind of playing up with some of the key trends that are on the platform, driving engagement, a little bit of fun, nothing, not too serious. The other pillar they have is around business and entrepreneurial tips. So they, you can see here, what are your entrepreneur do's and don'ts? So they are interviewing different small businesses, different entrepreneurs. They're probably famous, but I've got no idea who they are because they might be TikTok famous. But they obviously interviewing entrepreneurs, giving tips and help for others who might be in that similar situation. Another pillar that they've got is looking at their platform themselves, the platform itself, some of the platform benefits, some of the tools you can see here, free tools to run your business. I'd actually say generally their platform isn't that overly promotional, and this is generally kind of sold in a way is designed to help small business owners, designed to help entrepreneurs. And then finally, again, a little bit of play with this particular content pillar, which is kind of small business life, entrepreneurial life. So only things that entrepreneurs will understand, only things that small business owners will understand. But generally, there is a nod to the product or the offering that they have within that as well. So that's kind of how you can apply that powerful idea of content pillars. Putting your content pillars together, honestly, it creates those buckets. So you know that there's something about either the organization, the products and services that they sell, or a specific aspect of that product and service. So if I challenge you today, if there's only one thing you take away from this webinar, is to put some content pillars together, because that will help you stop creating content on the fly. So we've looked at our story, we've looked at our pillars. We now need to think about the actual content formats we're going to use. And before we kind of think about specific formats, we do need to identify different types of content that need to be part of our sort of content marketing mix, let's say. And the first lot here we've got is tactical and strategic content. And we need to appreciate that not all content is equal. It's going to vary in weight in terms of mass, but also the thought required. And we need to, as I said, have a mixture of both in terms of tactical and strategic content, or you can call it lightweight and heavyweight content. So firstly, heavyweight content or strategic content, it does what it says on the tin. It is a key strategic part of our content marketing efforts. So it's part of our major effort. It could be part of a major marketing campaign. It needs to be original. It's often quite fresh. It's an integral part, as I said, of our marketing plan or our campaign plan. Whereas our kind of tactical content, what you can see here, is frequent, it's less demanding, and it's less expensive to create. So strategic content, white papers, infographics, it could be an event, it could be an ebook, whereas tactical content tends to be things like podcasts, memes, webinars, press releases, something that requires certainly more time and is a lot more tactical. I am not saying we should ever use one or the other. They generally need to work better. So a good example here, we might have, we might have a white paper, but we might run a webinar to support that white paper. We might have an ebook, and again, we might do a podcast to support that ebook alongside potentially a social media post. So they all should work together. Another example, another important element to think about is differentiating between topical and evergreen content. And again, we need to make sure that our content strategy includes both of these. So topical content, this is all about timely, targeted information. We're kind of showing our brand's topical authority here. So we're demonstrating our expertise in a specific topic with the idea of creating trust with our audiences, but it's very, very event-based, time-based, is often regularly updated as well. So it's kind of based around current and happening events. For example, could be industry news, could be events. Also here we're thinking about ephemeral content, so our stories and our snaps. That's also an example of sort of how topical content could be applied. Excuse me. On the left-hand side, You can see all the celebrity looks from Coachella 2023. Apparently Coachella Festival is happening right now, and you can look at all what the celebrities are wearing. That's a very good example there of topical content, and Bazaar magazine showing us that they are staying ahead of, they're demonstrating their expertise in what the celebrities are wearing right now and staying ahead of the fashion curve. We then have the opposite of that, which is evergreen content, which is designed to always be interesting and useful to our audiences. So it's never likely to be dated. You know, it's very designed to be heavily focused to be found in search engines. It's always like to be relevant. So it's things like how-to guides, top tips, like what we call listicle articles. Actually, the best ski jackets of 2023, which is my evergreen example, content from Gear Junkie. That is a good example there of a listicle. Everything you need to know about, which is like that kind of encyclopedia entry kind of content as well. Evergreen content tends to address a very specific pain point, and it will have value to a specific target audience as well. And it does need to, it is an important part, as I say, of our content strategy. And also it can lead to some greater benefits to the organization, such as ranking quite highly in SERPs, so search engine results pages. It can help increase traffic and ultimately sales leads, etc. Okay, so thinking then also about our kind of what options we could have to creating content. I quite like this. This is from Smart Insights. It's the content marketing matrix. And the reason why I like it is it's getting us to think about how we can choose different content formats depending on the purchase intent and the decision style. So the purchase intent here, where we are potentially in that buying process. So from awareness, so that's along the horizontal, to purchase, and also our decision style, whether it's emotional or rational. So generally we tend to find B2C is a bit more emotional and B2B more rational. And what this is essentially showing us is the different forms of content we can use based upon that spectrum. And as part of that, they've created kind of quadrants where we have content that educates, convinces, inspires, or entertain. So it's just quite a useful thing for us to look at to give us ideas as to the kind of content we could use based upon what our audience needs. So where they are in their journey and whether it's an emotional or rational decision. So how do we make sure we're choosing the right formats? This isn't rocket science. It's probably something that you will already be aware of. It's again just getting us to think about choosing the right formats and making sure our content is suitable and we're using the right formats. So we need to think about our overall and wider reaching marketing objectives, making sure not just our marketing objectives, but we're also thinking about our wider business goals as well. We also need to think about our target audience. So so does that format meet the needs of our audience? We've done all that audience research. We created our personas. We need to use that to ensure we're creating the right formats, and also thinking about our different customer personas as well. Not just that, we need to think about the way that our target audience consumes content, maybe the pace that they consume content, the devices they use, the time of day. All of these could be influencing factors in the choices we made. And obviously, and a lot of you will probably be challenged with this, resources. It's all very well and good saying we need this wonderful video, this beautiful video that encapsulates everything. I don't know. It could be if you worked in e-commerce for your fall winter collection next year. But unless you have the resources for that, then obviously that's not going to be possible. So we have to work within our means. We have to identify how we might be able to create what we need to create with the resources we've got, the skills we've got, and therefore the budget we have. We also need to look at what our competitors are doing as well. Don't forget about competitors and what they are doing, what content they're producing, what content they're sharing, and how that might be supporting or taking maybe your customers away towards them too. And finally, we mentioned about doing that content audit. We need to look at our previous content performance. What is working well for us? I'm just going to flick back here. Sorry, back, not up. There we go. Someone's asked a good question about the widgets. This is the widget that sits almost like on your desktop and helps you to do something. So a good example of a widget might be like converting, for example, could be a customer converter for currency. That could be an example of a widget. Sometimes sits on your desktop, that kind of thing. You could make a converter or something, something like that. That's kind of the best example I can come up with on the spot of a widget. But yeah, it's a useful, it helps you do and understand, essentially. That would be a widget. Right, let me go back. Oh, there we go, sorry. So we looked at our content formats. I also wanted to point out at this stage about repurposing content, because it's useful to mention now that, you know, we don't always have to keep producing content. We can look at how we might be able to repurpose or recycle some of that content. So this is all about really reusing elements elements of our existing content to expand on our content's reach. So we are generally transforming one piece of content into another format. So we could be taking maybe an old blog post and putting it into a guide. We could be taking a webinar, like for example, today, I'm going to take this webinar, I'll probably pop it on our YouTube channel. We might take some stats we found in a report and turn them into a Twitter thread. We might take some user-generated content and turn that into also social media posts or even social media ads. You know, if we go back to our thoughts about strategic content, we've spent a lot of time producing this strategic content. You know, it's taken us a lot of resource. It could have cost us a lot of money. So we really want to be thinking about how we can repurpose this to maximize its value and make sure we get the most out of it. You know, through repurposing and recycling our content, we can, as I said before, extend the reach of our content. You know, it can spread the cost of creating that content. And actually, if we are repurposing content, generally it's a bit more efficient and quicker to create that content. And also it increases the number of locations as to where users, so our target audience, can discover our organization, maybe their share and engage with that piece of content as well. Oh, I do like to waffle on, sorry. We will get to the end of this. I've just realized it's 20 past. I've only got a few more slides, don't worry. So the next stage in our content strategy is thinking about the process. So implementing, just like implementing a plan, we have to think about the process of implementing our content. So process is really detailing who does what and when, what content is published, what channels are used then to distribute that content as well. Just a side note here about what process might include, and that can include as well content guidelines. If you don't have content guidelines, this is certainly worth putting together. This kind of overlaps a little bit with brand guidelines. It's kind of like your Bible of producing content. So it can detail like your editorial style, your brand voice. It could be colors, imagery, logo, the style that you like to put together, social media posts, etc. So just think about that as part of that process. As I mentioned, a key part of our process is how, you know, we create all this wonderful content, but we want actually people to find and engage with our content. So distribution is an important element. You know, the distribution process happens after you create the content, but you do need to decide where and how you're going to publish that and promote that content before you then start creating the content. You know, otherwise, you know, your resources could go to waste. Generally, how you promote your content, how you distribute your content will depend on your audience and your resources. So resources, generally, I mean budget here. But as you can see from the slide, there are 3 overarching content distribution approaches that you can take through your owned, earned, or paid channels. So your own channels will be your own website, could be your blog, social channels, your email newsletter. Paid channels, we're looking at how we might use social ads, for example, to share our content. Influencers, paying influencers to share potentially or co-create content with us. It could be retargeting ads. Paid search also is another way of sharing content too, guides and how-tos. Earned channels, this is the kind of, this is what we might earn. The organization will earn through mentions, through shares. It could be reviews. Actually, affiliate marketing kind of often falls into this area where we will earn our content through reviews. So like in the examples I showed you for hiking, a lot of those will be affiliate-based articles where you can earn a review potentially of that particular product and pay for it. So it kind of crosses over, I say, with that paid media channel. So those are the ways that we can distribute our content. We need to think about how we might do that as well. We've got all our content formats, and we now need to think about how we're going to distribute it then to maximize its reach and value. Paid might not always be an option for you. Key part of our process stage and managing content is how we're going to decide what we're going to run and what we're going to share and when, and that is facilitated through our content marketing calendar or content calendar. There's a couple of examples for you here, and honestly, there's no right way to create a content calendar. I know people that use Excel spreadsheets, people that use Google Sheets, or others like use a tool like you can see here, which is through CoSchedule. I sometimes use Airtable, that's another one. And there's even ways that you can kind of utilize or find workarounds to use the project management platforms like Slack to help you organize your content as well. But what we're doing here is we're providing a view of essentially, could be 30 to 90 days of our key themes. It could be topics, product launches, service launches, any specific posts that might be going live. There are lots of different ways to do it. I don't know if you can see in the grayer one here, it says insert month and year. You've got campaigns, ebooks, webinars, different types of content, and then they are plotted across each day. So you can put in the date as well, and not just the day. So each individual element is plotted right down from campaigns through to different types of content. So it depends on what works best for you. But having that content calendar and being organized is also really important for your content marketing efforts. Someone's asking about recommendations for the best social posting management platforms. I use Publer, and I really like Publer, but that's actually also quite useful because you can share it with clients and they can sign it off. I don't know if you want it for Rachel, I don't know if you want it for a content perspective or you want it from a social media management perspective, but I quite like Publer. I use that at the minute, mainly because I did get a really good offer and it was free. Not that makes a difference, but it can do quite a lot of the time, especially with certain clients. It's also a good time for me to mention content hubs as well, which are designed to provide a central location for all of an organization's content. So they play a really important role in your strategy because they house all of your evergreen content. So it could be a website, it could be a blog, but actually the best types of content hubs are kind of microsites or branded resources, which help visitors find the information that they need. Think with Google is actually a really good example of a content hub because it enables someone to go to a centralized location and access all of their thought leadership pieces. And therefore all of their communications tend to go to that specific hub, and then you can find other pieces of content there as well. Content hubs are really super helpful in terms of showing authority around a particular topic, so demonstrating your expertise as a brand, providing that visibility and traffic. So visibility in search engines and traffic from search engines, also a hub to drive users to. So if you're sending out newsletters, for example, you can drive users back to that specific hub. Engagement, that certainly as well. Content hubs don't just provide traffic, but they foster engagement through reading, maybe sharing. It could even be buying or signing up to a trial. They can help generate leads as well, and also provide detailed reports that you can share as well with your audiences. So there's lots of really good benefits of Content Hub, which can form a really important part of your content strategy if you have that capability. Or it could be right now you might have a hub and you might not be making the most of it. For example, it could be like you actually have a blog. And finally, I just want to talk about measurement, because you can't manage what you can't measure, and that is what Deming tells us. So just like any marketing activity we undertake, any campaign, any marketing strategy, we need to make sure we're measuring our content efforts. And what I've done here is thinking about our content efforts in terms of what we want our users to do, that see, think, or do. So do we want them to see, so have some awareness? Do we want them to think and engage, or do we want them to actually do, to take to conversion? And what we want them to do and what the content is designed to get them to do will then affect the metrics we are utilizing going to use, sorry, to track that. So you can see here in terms of that C, so that discovery, the discovery of content, you know, that's the kind of softer metrics around, you know, clicks, click-through rates, users, unique views, engagement. Thinking about engagement, so trying to get people to engage with our content, we might measure that through metrics such as time on page, engagement rate, bounce rate. Obviously, we know with with GA4, bounce rate is going to be pretty much retired come July time, maybe, or into 2024 at least. Percentage that might have viewed, so in terms of thinking about our video content, the number of comments made as well on a piece of content can help us then judge whether that has been successful. Again, we're trying to tie these back to the goals that we've put together in the first instance. And then we've got our conversion, so our real world actions in terms of leads, inquiries, sales, thinking again what our audience we want from an organizational perspective. That can include other aspects. Such as getting people to donate. It could be, again, if you're working for a local authority, for example, actually see and think might be more what you want than people to do in terms of actually a conversion. Right, so that's kind of what I wanted to cover today in terms of our workshop. I hope you've got a good idea now how to put together that strategy right from the beginning phase of defining your purpose, then putting together your goals, doing a content audit, then thinking about your stories, most importantly, your content pillars, deciding on your formats, the process, and measuring as well. There was a couple of questions I just want to go back to, if that's okay, because there was a really interesting one. From anonymous attendee says, if someone who is reluctant to amend the content type as it's always worked before, how is it to explain them has changed according to your audience attention span? I always say in this instance that, you know, we don't, the audiences change. And I would personally go away and get some research to back up what you're saying. So think about, you could be actually on that content that has always worked. Can you prove over time that the performance is going down? Can you then back that bit up by presenting some third-party research that is showing actually your target audience and the kind of content they now want to consume? I hope that helps. One of our biggest challenges is trying to get owners and stakeholders, so especially when it comes to small one-man band type business, to understand that content marketing is so much more than a string of social media posts or blog. I think, Anna, if you want to try and get stakeholders engaged with content marketing, it's about trying to present research to them that hopefully shows and demonstrates them the value, more from an audience perspective. So go away and maybe think about doing some research into your audience and what they need, what their needs and wants, what are their pain points, and then say, well, actually, if we're producing content that matches those pain points, that might help us increase our leads, help us increase our engagement, and ultimately get more business. And finally, I just wanted to speak to Rachel again, Publer with an A. It's actually P-U-B-L-E-R. That should hopefully help you. Now, obviously, we love doing our workshops, but we also want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about our new Digital Marketing Institute qualification as well, where content is a module within that and a really important element of learning about digital marketing and becoming a certified digital marketing professional. So just a little bit about the Digital Marketing Institute. It's designed to give you the knowledge and skills to be a digital marketing expert. It's a very comprehensive course. And the best bit about this course, actually, for those of you that maybe have started to look at studying for different qualifications, it's a relatively short-term course. So in terms of, you can get it done in 10 weeks, there's no long assignments, it's just 1 2-hour exam, and it's a multiple choice examination as well. So you get to study all of this wonderful content and material, and you don't have to do a big assignment at the end, which is really helpful for those of you that might be short on time. And also those of you that may be in between jobs right now as well. There are 165,000 DMI members around the globe. It's an industry recognized qualification, and 81%, which is quite interesting statistics from the DMI themselves, 81% of their members gained promotion after completing their qualification. Actually, the DMI Pro is for anyone. So it's for marketers who maybe want to improve their digital marketing skills. Maybe it's if you're working in digital marketing right now and you want to get a recognized qualification. You could be a small business owner. You could be maybe you want to change your career entirely, or you could have just graduated. If those are for all different types of people. Actually, I think it's designed as a level 6 qualification, I believe, Laura, or is it level 5?
It's a level 5.
The level 5 qualification. So it kind of sits between an A level and not an A level, sorry, an A level and a diploma. Sorry, not diploma, but a university degree. So that's kind of where it sits, sort of in the middle of those. In terms of what you will learn, what I said, there's 10 modules, but that's very much bite-sized. It is very comprehensive. So you will learn the nuts and bolts of how to optimize, how to do search engine optimization, how to put together a paid search campaign using Google Ads, how to undertake YouTube advertising and also display advertising. You will learn actually how to read Google Analytics. You will learn a bit more about content marketing, and you will certainly learn how to use some of the key social media platforms, set them up, how to put together suitable posts, and how to develop a social media strategy too. And as I said, what's great is you can do all of this learning in a format to suit you, but ultimately there is no assessment, like no assignment. It's all a 2-hour examination, and you can do that at a time and a date to suit yourself as well, which is really good. In terms of what Oxford College of Marketing are offering with the DMI, we are offering a virtual weekly class that you can study over 10 weeks, or a 5-day boot camp, which is virtual face-to-face. That 5-day boot camp runs between 9:30 and 5 o'clock. The weekly classes, though, are 2 hours. The 2 hours are weekly classes, I believe. And they are 2.5 hours. There you go. You get an extra half an hour. Get an extra half an hour thrown in. They're all taught by our, we have some digital experts, some digital professionals. So something about Oxford College of Marketing you should know, none of our tutors work for us full time. They all have day jobs. They are all practitioners. They are all practicing digital marketing right now. So that's what you can benefit from too. We also offer it's over Zoom, some virtual. We also have 5 locations, which are all central locations, though. I think that's Oxford, London, Birmingham, Manchester, and one other, Bristol. I believe that's correct. Those are 5 locations, and our classes do start as early as May, but we do have various start dates that are coming up. I've got some more slides. Sorry, one more thing. There's just lots of things that you get, but some interesting things that you do get as part of this. You do get your DMI membership for life. There is also a mock exam. We provide you with a whole host of resources through Oxcom Learning. You also have additional resources as part of your DMI membership. Honestly, you will have so many resources, you won't know what to do with yourself. It's absolutely brilliant. You also, though, importantly, with Oxford College of Marketing, we do give you that free project management course when you decide to sign up. Project management is a really useful, really useful skill to have. The learning is free. The only thing that costs is when you decide to take any assessment to gain the full qualification yourself, but you have access to those learning materials. And there are 3 different types of project management qualification that you can look at. So lots to choose from there. We also give you 6 months access to all your materials after completing the course. So after you complete your exam, you can come back and look at the materials and also access that project management material as well. So you can complete that course too. Sorry, lots of things to take in. I'm aware we are running over. Apologies about that. But we're really excited about this DMI course. I certainly am, especially as the digital marketing, someone who works in digital marketing. I'm always keen for people to gain these skills. If you are ready to become a digital marketing pro, you can contact our team. Laura is going to drop into the chat area a link which you can also book a one-to-one consultation. These are really super helpful because we can really have a chat with you one-on-one, what you're trying to achieve, and then find the best kind of course, short course, qualification that's going to suit you. But I'm very happy to take any questions about DMI. Laura is here as well. I can answer any questions you might have about content as well. And I hope you enjoyed today's workshop. Please do feel free to answer any questions.
Guys, we've also got the chat area working now, so it's easier to put it in there instead of the Q&A. That's now all up and running.
Thank you. Oh, I'm glad you found it very helpful, Rachel. Laura, can you just confirm if we can send the recording out to people? Does that come automatically?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be going to everyone that has attended to say thank you for coming along. And it just gives you the slide deck as well so that you can use any of the resources that you really hopefully went through, Red. Yeah, that'll be coming out shortly.
Super. Any other questions? I've got some there. Here we go. I'm glad you found it helpful. That's great. Any questions for us on our qualification, or any questions for us about content marketing? You're very welcome. If you are happy, please do, look us up on LinkedIn as well. I'm glad you found that useful. Oh, lots of nice comments. Thank you, everyone.
Got one here, Red.
A really good question. What's the difference between DMI and CIM? I might hit this one actually, Laura, because I
absolutely, you fire away.
Yeah. So Chartered Institute of Marketing qualifications. These are designed to give you a broader approach to marketing. So at level 4, the CIM qualification is the certificate that's designed to help you understand as a marketer to create better campaigns and give you an overview of digital marketing if that's the route you choose to take. At level 6, it's much more strategic. So again, it's a much more broader, they kind of give you the breadth, whereas Digital Marketing Institute will give you the depth into digital marketing. So CIM would be much more about thinking about how digital channels work together from a strategic perspective, or how digital channels work together in a campaign, whereas Digital Marketing Institute qualifications are much more specific. You will actually learn how to optimize a website. You will learn how to put together the basics of putting together a paid search campaign, the basics of creating a suitable organic social media posts. It will help you with social media advertising and understanding what that is and how it works as well. Thank you, Charlotte, as well. I hope that helped define the difference between the two. It's definitely the real crux of it is just breadth and depth. CIM is very much sort of that overview and more strategic approach. DMI is much more in detail into the different digital marketing tools. Any more questions for us today?
Done silent, Red.
I know, it's fabulous.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. It was a really, really interesting topic.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Oh, what's the best to do, DMI or CIM, if you want to be a marketing director or CMO? That's an interesting, it depends on what you've got, what you're doing right now and what your position is at the moment. I'd actually recommend you have a chat with the team, because they can, based upon where you're working and what your current role is, they can best advise. Also, it will depend possibly on what you have previously studied, and therefore how we can map that into either Digital Marketing Institute or the CIM.
I would agree with that completely. No, it is, there are so many variables with that one. It might be a 2-step approach, it may be less, it may be more. So yeah, click on that HTML link that I've just popped in the chat, and please do sort of come along and have a one-to-one with us, because the team are experts in this. They'll chat digital marketing to you all day long.
Since content marketing is known as a slow grind, can you give tips on how startups can use content marketing to increase their visibility in their target audience? Oh, that's interesting. So I can use a startup as a small business that I helped with some content marketing efforts. And actually, you have to balance content marketing with your other acquisition tools and techniques. So your other acquisition tools and techniques, especially with small businesses and startups, is where is my audience and how can I get in front of them? So I spent a lot of time when I worked with startups really trying to find where my audience were, and often that was searching for specific things. So one of the small businesses I worked with was a carpentry organization. They basically needed leads. So I spent a lot of time doing citation-based stuff in from an SEO perspective, so local-based searches. But also then I started building a blog at the same time to look to demonstrate expertise in certain areas, because we could then share that on different social platforms and also share that more widely and get some engagement with that as well. It's quite tricky not knowing what, in terms of tips around what kind of area in that startup is, but content can be really super helpful for startups. A good example for a startup here, often it can be quite technology based, and often therefore demonstrations, content around, so developing content from that perspective. So providing demonstrations, having webinars, explaining what that is and why you're great. You know, from an online perspective, that can be useful as well. And then leveraging paid for, unfortunately, to get some registrations for that from maybe from a LinkedIn ads perspective, or depending if your audience is around Facebook, may not be. That could also be a useful approach to take. That's kind of off the top of my head. Depends on the size of the organization, as in from what they're trying to promote, rather. Sorry, not the size. I know what I meant. Any other questions for me today? And I think we need to sort of wrap up, possibly, because everyone might want to go and get their lunch. We're probably actually eating their lunch already, maybe.
They didn't have their cameras on, Red. I think everyone ate lunch whilst you were chatting away.
Yes, I would have thought so. Oh, completed a consultation form. Super. We look forward to chatting to you. I'm glad you found the webinar very informative. We hope to see you on another webinar soon. We always have lots of different webinars on different topics. So have a look out for that on our social channels. Right. Thanks, Emma. I think that's us for today. Thank you so much for joining myself and Laura. We hope you found it useful, and we hope to see you on one of our webinars soon. So take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.